Hello, folks. Oh, I messed that up. Hello, folks. Welcome to another round of Modern. On the right, we have Moises Castrover playing his Temur Soup deck. He's been playing for a little while now. And on the left, we have Carson Bispils playing Grixis Shadow. I'm like 90% sure that's what it was. Yeah, Grixis now Shadow. Alright, Moises gonna lead on Scalding Tarn and a Mystery's Bauble. He's gonna look at the top of his deck, see if he wants to draw that card. Carson's gonna shock down the 18, play Ragavan. Moises is going to fetch. And looks like he's contemplating removing that Ragavan. Just not willing to deal with it. Fetches the Stomping Ground. And yeah, bolt the Ragavan. I think that's the Steam Vents. The saturation is slightly off. Alright, there's a Ren 6. Use that Waterlogged Grove to take damage there. Buys back the Scalding Tarn. Ren is amazing. This was from our Modern 1K that we hosted at the end of November. Alright, shocking in a Water Grave. Dragon's Rage Trainer. We had 38 players. There's a Mystery's Bauble and a Surveil Trigger. We're thinking. Moises is giving that hand a shuffle. I'll say, so I've played a lot of different card games, right? And I've noticed in other card games the shuffle speed, it varies. The shuffle between people. Of course, it's going to leave the card on top and go to Thoughtseize. Sees a Tarmogoyf, a Shardless Agent, a Lightning Bolt, and an Unholy Heat. Taking the Shardless Agent. Probably having the internal conversation with himself of, what the hell did I just look at? Carson's going to take a second, jot down the cards that he just saw. That's Thoughtseize. Yeah. Moises' deck is interesting. We've had it on stream a couple times before. He plays some interesting cards. We have 4 copies of Red and 6, that makes sense, right? We're in red-green colors, so we should be playing 4. Got 2 copies of Abundant Harvest in the main board, 3 copies of Hex Drinker, which is cool. Hex Drinker seems to have fallen out of favor in the meta again. It fluctuated really hard a little bit last year. I think it was last year. Might have been earlier this year. Where Jund Death Shadow... Yeah, it had to be pre-Horizons. Where Jund Death Shadow was really good, and the card went from a $10 mythic to a $50 mythic, and then dropped back down to $30. So yeah, it's a pretty sweet card. Got 2 copies of Shardless Agent in this deck. A copy of the Royal Scions, which is the... Is it Planeswalker from Throne of Eldraine, which is actually a really cool inclusion. And then we have 1 copy of Prismari Command, which I'm kind of questioning. It's a weird fun of one of, but Moises' deck is kind of along those lines where you have some fun of one ofs. I mean, Royal Scions is a fun of one of. Why not? And then his sideboard is pretty stock. We got 2 copies of Chalice of the Void, 1 Engineered Explosives, 2 Alpine Moon, 2 Shattering Spree, 2 Torpor Orb. Those were my Torpor Orbs he borrowed. 2 Mystical Disputes, 2 copies of Endurance, 1 Clothes God of Destiny, and 1 Force of Vigor. So, it's got some interesting stuff here. I know he played a lot of cards to combat the Amulet Titan matchup, because I know from talking with him and testing with him that matchup is just not something he wants to see ever. So, it makes sense. We've got the Alpine Moons, the Torpor Orbs, the Force of Vigor. Alright, I'm going to take a peek at Carson's list right now. They're having a... Ooh, Carson, if you're watching this, friend, you have nice handwriting. That part is completely irrelevant to the rest of the game, but it's some nice handwriting. Yeah, we've got a pretty decent back and forth game. Always just has a Tarmogoyf that keeps popping in. His commander life counter that he has right there is not very good at indicating on camera how big the Tarmogoyf is. But it looks like it's 4 or 5. Alright, So, Carson's list looks pretty stock. I mean, got the 2 copies addressed down in the main board, which makes sense. That interaction with Death Shadow is super cool. He is a Laris deck. You can see that by seeing the Laris peeking around the corner over there. 1 Lightning Bolt in the main board is, interesting. He's got 1 Lightning Bolt and 1 copy of Kolaghan's Command in the main board. And he's not sideboarding any other copies. I don't know how I feel about that. K-Command is relatively strong right now. I mean, you get a lot of value out of the Shatter effect, and then you can buy back a Death Shadow. You can also shock your opponent. Alright, we're going to see a Thoughtseize. He also has a 4/4 Death Shadow, taking the Unholy Heat. He wants his Death Shadow to not die. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like... He's playing 7 discard spells. He's got 4 copies of Thoughtseize and 3 copies of Inquisition of Kozilek. I feel like lately there's been like a 2-3 split, where it's like 2 Inquisition, 3 Thoughtseize, or other way around, depending on how you think the format is. Yeah, I think you gotta play more copies of Lightning Bolt in your deck. I could be wrong. I'm not a well-versed Death Shadow player, but Bolt just feels like a... You don't play less than 2 type of card. But looking over at the sideboard, we got 2 copies of Engineered Explosives, 2 copies of Nihil Spellbomb, 2 Summoner Denials, 2 Alpine Moon, 1 Dress Down, 1 Collective Brutality, 2 Terminate, 1 Mystical Dispute, and then the other copy of Kolaghan's Command, which is okay. Yeah, pretty interesting deck. Alright, see another Tarmogoyf coming down. They are still 4/5 beaters. Carson has a 6/6? Yeah, I can kind of math. Right, get a dash out of Ragavan. Carson has an Unholy Heat in his hand. It'll be interesting to see if he just shoots down the Ragavan now, or if he actually lets it hit or not. I don't know why he would. It's not a deck that you want to give them free cards. Gonna fetch and shock, or fetch. Okay. Does that give him Delirium? Is that why? Probably. Alright, it's gonna fetch a tapped Blood Grip, use the Steam Vents to shoot down one of the Tarmogoyfs. I imagine that has to give him Delirium. Cool. Alright, Carson has a... Oh, Ragavan hit. Okay. Alright. We have Renping and Lightning Bolt. It's going to take game 1 for Moises. Let's do a quick little look at their sideboard and then see... And skip on over to game 2. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Carson brings in... The Nihil Spellbomb seemed decent here, just because of Tarmogoyf and Dragon's Rage Channeler. Dress Down's probably fine too. Yeah, I'm thinking Spellbomb. He could go Stubborn Denial and just try to play more of a mid-rangey to control-ish type of game. The Engineered Explosives are also pretty solid. I'm not exactly sure what he would side out here. A lot of the cards in his deck are good. I think he just trim on some of the hand control elements, especially Thoughtseize. You could trim 1 to 2 copies of Thoughtseize here and just keep the Inquisitions. Moises' deck is pretty low CMC count, which I think it... Yeah, I think the highest thing is Charlotte's Agent, right? Yeah, I think that's where I'd want to be at. I mean, you could do EE, because Luris plus EE shenanigans is always entertaining. It is a 3-color deck. Now, on Moises' side of things, he could bring... I think he takes the Hexbreakers out here. does he bring in? I guess the endurances, but that's not amazing. Closest doesn't do too much. Shattering Spree doesn't do much here. Alpine Moon doesn't really do much here. The 2 copies of Chalice of the Void I could see potentially coming in, but I don't know if he wants to put it on, or Chalice on 1. I imagine it's just the 2 copies of Endurance. Torpor Orb, Shattering 3, they all did. None of those cards really do anything. Alright, let's, well, we might already be close to Game 2 starting up here. So we'll just talk through the mulligan process and all that shenanigans. How do you folks watching feel about the Unfinity set that's coming out in April, on April 4th, aka April Fool's Day? You know, outside of like the lands, I'm pretty whelmed by it. I'm not expecting much, right? It's an unset. But let me tell you, the Space Shock lands and this full art planetary space basics have me excited. I'm a big fan of space, so I'll probably be selling off my current shocks to try and buy those, and then buy the basics as well. Alright, we got our hands. Are we thinking of keeping any of them? Alright, looks like we're keeping both. Got a Blood Crypt and a Ragavan. Pretty decent start. This is Fetch, Shock, and Lightning Bolt. And we're past the point, but thank you, Buzzlin, for following the stream. We appreciate it. I have to update that graphic. It's no longer Halloween. Grabbing the Shock land where I'm not exactly sure if it's a Stomping Ground or a Steam Fence. Alright, Crux is going to come out. Moise is going to have to discard a card. It's got a lot of lands. Not a terribly large amount of threats in his hand. Yep, drops the Breeding Pool, takes 3 damage. Crux is such a cool card. I miss Uro, though. And I know that's like a controversial statement. I just really enjoyed playing Uro decks. So. Alright, put the Forest in. There's a Tarmogoyf. It is a land instant creature. 3/4? 4/3? 3/4. Yeah. Alright, picks up a Death Shadow. Can fetch a shock and play double shadow here if he has 2. What is that card? Is that a Terminate? I don't know, it's another copy of Croxa. Alright. Slowly picking up Moises' hand here. Alright, drops the Waterlogged Grove. Takes another 3 damage down to 11. And plays out a Dragon's Rage Channeler after doing the old Fetch and Shock Wombo combo. Always has the option here of removing the Darcy if he wants to. Plays a Darcy of his own. Fetches out. Fetches the Steam Vents. See, that Steam Vents is really making me think that that's the Stomping Ground. There's like a slightly bluish tint, I feel like, to the text box of that other land. So it's messing with me. Alright, so it definitely has to be a Stomping Ground. He only plays 1 Steam Fence. Yeah, Abundant Harvest calls a non-land. Gonna grab a Mishra's Bubble. We're gonna Surveil here. Keep it on top, crack the bubble. Going to Unholy Heat the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Keep the card on top. And taps in for 5 damage. Alright, so Carson can play a land here, fetch, and then replay the Croxa. Moises missed his Bauble trigger, which is technically on both players. But alright, Moises has, indicating he has no hand. He's going to take 3 damage, go to 5. You have cards like Mistress Bauble, folks. Do not forget your triggers. It can be difficult sometimes. Maybe you're thinking about a turn or two ahead, but you cannot be missing those triggers. All right. Draws turn, attacks, and has the lightning bolt. Alright, folks, thank you for watching the match. We got Moises Castrover taking it 2-0 with Temur Soup over Carson Bispell's Grixis, Darcy, Shadow Darcy. Thank you for watching. We'll have more content coming up soon, or it's already been posted. Subscribe, like, and comment, and all that fun stuff if you'd like to see more content. Goodbye.